Hey, hey everybody! Welcome to the third edition of Talking Outlander. This is our very first live episode. We've been doing these pre-recorded, and this is the first time we're going totally live. So welcome if you're with us. Hang out with us on Twitter. I don't know if the Q&A for YouTube is working great today, so hang with us on Twitter. Use the hashtag Talking Outlander and just chat with us. You can chat with us at That's Normal and at Hypable. All of our Twitter handles are in our little taglines at the bottom today, so if you want to talk to us personally, you can do that too. We've had some new special guests with us this week, so we're going to introduce them, or they're going to introduce themselves. We're going to tell you what we're drinking, and then we're going to get straight into the episode. So you go ahead and start sending us questions if you want. So let's start with our good That's Normal friend, Jamie. She's got a great name. It's going to confuse us this whole time, but it's okay.
Hi,
Jamie.
everyone. Hello. I feel a special kinship with Jamie since we spell our names the same. So that should very much confuse everybody, but you can refer to me as Jamie Brooke. That's my middle name. I don't know. Or Jamie, that's normal. It doesn't matter. Anyways, I'm really excited to be here today. I have read all the Outlander books, and I've been keeping up with the show, and excited to be here generally.
Yay. And our special male guest this week, say hello.
Hey, Internet, what's up? Oh, am I doing the intro now?
Yeah, say who you are.
Okay, awesome. So I'm here because one of the other guys couldn't be here, and I'm just simply filling in last minute. And I'm also friends with Becca. And am I still Mr. Choice, or is that doesn't exist anymore? Okay, that. Yeah, so I'm here. I have a whole lot of insights into Stan Hogan and the Outlier and the whole deal, so I'm here to share those with all of you.
Yay.
Welcome. And I'm drinking Scotch, which is a Scottish whiskey, so that should make sense.
Our audience.
Back to you, Beth.
I'm sure that our audience is fully aware of what Scotch is. They probably know better than you do. But good. We're very glad to have David. He's going to be a good time. And we have our other regular girls. Becca, you can go ahead.
Yeah, I will go ahead. I am Becca, up here banished to my bedroom as well. And David is my husband. That is not a coincidence that we have the same last name. It's a little strange that we're in different rooms and he's downstairs. And I can hear our cat just meowing. So if anybody hears it, go feel free to tweet and we'll tell him to shut up. Today, I am drinking white wine because it's 4:09 in the afternoon, and that just felt like the kind of thing you needed to do. And my tagline for this week is, I'll take a butt massage, because let's be honest, that butt massage looked fabulous. Okay, I'm going to get the cat. I'll get the cat.
All right, go, Nikki.
Hi, I'm Nikki. I'm joining us with a green tea in a plastic mason jar. My tagline is Stolabanix. I feel like I probably spelled that wrong, but oh well. I could go for one right now. It's only 1:24 in LA. Welcome, new people.
All right, who's next? Laura?
Hey guys, I'm Laura from Hypable, and my tagline is on Team Mrs. Fitz because I just love Mrs. Fitz. Telling off the local pastor today, go Mrs. Fitz. Love Mrs. Fitz. So I'm here, and like Becca, I'm having a glass of Pinot Grigio, and you know, it's 4 o'clock here. It's cocktail time, and I just got done with a Doctor Who hangout, so you know what? I'm having a cocktail.
Good for you. Well, I'm Beth. My tagline this week is 1 degree from Leary, because I feel like we're all pretty much Leary. I mean, come on. Nobody is Claire. We're all Leary. We want Jamie to notice this. And I'm having orange juice because it is 107 degree heat index today, and nothing is cooling me down, but I'm hoping this will help a little bit. So let's get started. This is the third episode of Outlander. It's called The Way Out. I want to hear your one-sentence summary of this episode. I don't care who goes first.
I'll start. Not as bored as last week.
I'll go next. Claire's Ear Piercing and Jewelry, the new sponsor of Outlander.
I'll go. Jamie flirting is fantastic.
Very true. Laura?
Oh,
You're muted.
Laura, you're muted.
Sorry, is that better?
Yeah, it's better.
There we go. I'm going to go with lots of direct quotes from the book, making me very happy.
No
David,
pressure,
do you have
David.
one?
Yeah, Stan Hogan's starting to step up his game. He's starting to pimp it out a little bit, and I'm excited to see where it goes.
Oh, for those of you that don't know, Stan Hogan is David's answer to Sam Hewen because he can't remember his name. So if that's confusing to you, that's what that came from. My one sentence is it changed.
Breathe.
Now because I was just going to say something really great about Jamie, and I just decided that I didn't want to be. Jamie and Claire remain totally clueless about their real feelings. That's my one sentence summary. They are both clueless in this episode. But let's get started talking about my favorite character from this particular episode. I want to hear everyone's thoughts on Angus Moore. I think he stole the show.
Is that who plays Murtaugh?
Angus is the guard. He's the one who's guarding Claire. He's the one who's from the very beginning, like, offering a little bit of comedic relief. So let's see what your thoughts are on Angus this week, real quick.
He was awesome. I liked when they kept going to the kitchen, and obviously they were all getting drinks because they're drunks or something. That was pretty great.
I love how they Go ahead. Laura, you're muted.
Darn it. Sorry. I never knew there were so many variations on belching before. Because he just sort of walks on, belches, or just sort of relieves himself, and just I don't know. It's lots of belching.
I don't think I can belch on command.
You can't?
As an actor?
I just did it.
You just drink a lot of soda, and then you can do it.
Yeah. Have like a big swallow of carbonated something.
I loved him. I felt like he and Angus, or he and the other guy, like, turned into Merry and Pippin from Lord of the Rings, and they were just, like, being ridiculous, and that's exactly what they look like drinking those pints, and I thought he was great.
Okay, I have to say something because David, actually, didn't you make a Lord of the Rings reference when we were watching? Or you said something about Lord of the Rings? Explain what you were talking about.
It wasn't about that guy. Time out real quick. Do I look at my image or do I look at the green dot on my computer? I'm always confused about that.
They're both the same. If you're using your Insight camera, it's basically the same thing.
Yeah, that looks
I'm
good.
looking at the camera directly now. Is that what works?
You look great.
Feels weird. Yes, I did. It was about the priest or whatever, though. He was so over the top that it was just kind of like a cartoonish villain from Lord of the Rings. That's just what I felt. He came in, he had like the dark under eyes, and it was just so over the top. It was just cartoonish, and I know what they were going for, but so my Lord of the Rings reference was not towards the guy playing the clown bodyguard.
And going back to David real quick, because I don't think you did a terrible job introducing yourself. Just kidding.
I thought I nailed it.
You didn't tell them that you have not read any books. The only thing of Outlander you know is me and all the talking. So you are our Elise stand-in from this week. If you've watched our last two episodes, Elise has been our non-fan Outlander watcher and perspective, and that's definitely David of this week. So that gives a little context for where he's coming from.
Yeah.
Right. Did anybody else notice that Father Bane is, it took me forever to figure out where I'd seen him from, but he's in Notting Hill? This is totally random. The only thing I could think.
That is so random.
He's in Notting Hill, is basically.
Wait, wasn't the guy who plays Dantos in Game of Thrones in this week of Outlander too? Wait, that was Dr. Who. Just kidding.
No,
Just kidding.
I didn't see him.
Laura would enjoy that.
Not enough British actors. So let's talk about a little bit about Gayless, because she was my second favorite character this episode. She really is intriguing, and I'm interested to see what like David thinks about her, because as book readers we understand fully like where Gayless is coming from and what she's what she's after, and I'm interested to see somebody who maybe doesn't know. Even Nikki, you don't know Gaelus's full story, so I'm interested to see what you guys think about how she's going.
I don't know who that is.
It's
The
the
redhead.
Yeah.
Redhead chick.
Redhead.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let me say this real quick before David gives a perspective, but I think they are making in the show a lot more obvious that she's like this, that there's something she's hiding, that I don't think it was as obvious to me reading the books, but that definitely, that there's something going on with this woman.
Definitely.
Yeah, and so I don't know if this plays into it, but I also didn't see episode 2. So if she was introduced there, then I don't know. That can't play a role into it. But I definitely think that she's up to something. I mean, she comes off as a character that does have an agenda. So just from the watching that one episode, I definitely got that impression that she's not just a babe in the woods kind of character.
Yeah, I think you made a really good point, Becca, because I know when I was writing the recap of this episode, I was really struggling on, like, am I figuring things out because I know the book, or are they really laying that groundwork? And I had to go to one of my editors and I said, so you're watching this and you don't know the book, so what do you think of Gaelus? And she's like, she knows stuff. So I was like, okay, so I'm not just telegraphing it, because that was like my fear. I'd be like giving out info, and I'm like, she's like, no, she clearly knows more of what's going on. So, but it's like, how much and what does she know?
Yeah, I feel like Gaelus already looks not as a book reader, but I feel like Gaelus looks a little crazy. Like in my mind, when I read the books, Gaelus was very type A. She's not like this ethereal kind of witchcrafty lady. She's very type, almost like Glenn Close when she's vice president of the United States. Like, she's very no nonsense to me in my head, like the image that I have of her in the books. And that isn't how Lotta's playing her at all, and I love that. I'm totally into it. But in my mind, she was just very stern and very kind of no nonsense type A. So I'm loving that you can't really figure out if she's just kind of crazy, witchy, or if she's like a CIA operative. I don't even know what's going on with her right now. So I love the way Lotta is playing her.
I love how she turned on the charm with her husband. Like, you could just see, like, he's like clearly not like very clever at all as far as, picking up on subtext there, but you could just see how she's like a big manipulator. And I don't know that you always got that in the book. I agree with you. She's more like no nonsense, get it done, and you could just see how she could be manipulative and charming here.
Yeah. Let's talk about Arthur Duncan for a minute, because he's on screen for about 30 seconds, and he made me want to vomit. And I've never, I felt so bad for Claire in that moment. Like, how is that? And then I thought, this is the 18th century. This is what they're dealing with. They're dealing with, random bodily functions that no one has any compunction about just being themselves whenever. It's disgusting. It was gross.
Yeah, David, he was the one who farted. You remember.
The old fat guy with the judge or whatever?
Yeah.
Yeah, Victor. What do they call it? Whatever.
He's a fiscal.
Fiscal. Yeah.
Yeah. He was a repulsive man.
But didn't care, and it was like that was totally acceptable. I don't understand.
About oops, sorry, I'm muted. I think we're talking about a barbaric bunch, and we talked about that a little bit, David. You and I. You're like, why are they like this? Why are they being so gross? I'm like, well, we're talking about the 1700s, and it's not like it's the most cosmopolitan town of that time. I mean, they're pretty stuck in. We got a little taste of that with the superstition. They're just a little backwards. They're not the most educated people, and so I think just farting and burping and whatever, just letting it loose is just how it's done.
Well, and if you all think that was something that died after the 18th century or whatever, let me invite you all to the locker room of my gym. Just a bunch of old, fat, rich men, and you'll see that that's still very much alive and well today.
Well, that's good to know.
It should be. You all have that to look forward to.
Oh. Good.
Except for
when
me,
we're finally
how I roll.
Stage when we're hanging out in old men's locker rooms, when we finally get there, we'll see it.
I can't.
Can't wait. I want to talk about for a minute, y'all. Please jump in if there's something you want to talk about. But I do want to talk about how this episode for me was the best so far. A, but B was also the least like the book. They combined characters. They changed some. Gave Alex some stuff, gave it to Myrta, and they changed just the whole dynamic and made a whole arc about Claire trying to build trust, but at the same time falling under more suspicion with the things that are going on there, and set up some arcs for some stuff that's later. The least like the book in terms of these past 3 episodes, but yet the best one. Why do we think that is?
Well, and I think this might go back to some of the things we've talked about in past Talking Outlanders, is how they needed that. They need to explain. We haven't talked about it yet, but Frank. I love that we saw Frank again. We saw that scene at the train where you felt that connection, and that was so important. That did not exist, right? That was not a flashback to anything in the book. Okay, so that scene was. I'm so glad that I feel like they did a couple things that we had wanted them to do maybe last episode, right in this episode, giving us more of a storyline that probably was there. If they didn't make anything up, this could have very well happened, but giving us more subtext to really explain the whole thing.
I totally agree with you. It was definitely a lot of showing me and not telling me. Like, we didn't get the voiceover from hell going on so much this episode, and what you said there with Frank was like a classic example of it. The other one, which was totally not book, was that whole, like I said, pull an Alice Cullen, it's all a dream, where Mrs. Fitz, and she confronts her with that, I'm from a traveler from time, and then she starts screaming witch, and it just goes to show what a superstitious land she's in and what she's up against. I thought that just laid the groundwork for the superstitious nature of the people so well, without having Claire drone on endlessly in our heads about, in this time, blah, 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 blah. I thought that was so much more effective than voiceover.
Yeah, and I want to first point out that whoever had their money on the first Twilight reference coming at 23 after 4, you win, because we have our first Twilight reference. But I was even shocked, because they've been teasing that in trailers, that point of, I've fallen through time. And then that was just this like dream sequence. That was awesome. I thought that was really well done.
Yeah.
I'm going to disagree. Well, I enjoyed this episode so much more than the past few, so that was great, or the past 2. But I feel the voiceover still needs to be a little less heavy. There were a few times where it's like, let me explain it for the dumb people in the room, and I just feel like they can trust that the audience can pick up on things, and more of the show me, not tell me. But I really liked that they did this kind of flash of what would happen if, Claire actually told people. Because for people who haven't read the book, they're probably like, well, why doesn't she explain it to someone? And it's because there's so many superstitions, and it almost foreshadows, I think, what they're playing at with her and the church, and just kind of being a little too forward and a modern woman, and how that's going to play out in the 17th or the 18th century.
My prediction is that the episodes to follow this are going to even become more so appealing in a broad sense. 'Cause I watched the just couple minutes at the end with Ronald Moore or whatever, and he was talking about during pre-production they were saying that we're going to make this show to appeal to the fans, and then hope that anybody else is going to just jump on board once they see how passionate other people are. Well, that's a great sentiment during pre-production, but I'm guessing after the first couple episodes they said this needs to work a little bit better on a broader level. And I'm sure that they retooled it a little bit after the pilot to work a little bit better on a broad level. So I'm guessing that moving forward, they're going to dial that in more and more, which could be a good thing or a bad thing depending on who you are.
Yeah, I think that because they had 16 episodes to work with, they had a lot of time for exposition, and so when they're coming from a source material that's kind of slow in the beginning, so they let those first couple of episodes be kind of slow as well, and it wasn't the greatest. I don't think it was the greatest way to introduce this story, but I do think that if I knew someone who hadn't watched it at all, I would tell them watch the first 3 episodes, and hopefully at the end of this one they would say, okay, yeah, I can watch this show. I wouldn't have given them the first 2 episodes and expected them to keep going. So hopefully after this one, somebody could say, okay, yeah, I'll give it a go for a little bit longer.
Okay, I have a tweet from Mama Mac J. She says, "Don't feel bad for leg hair. She gets her revenge in due time." So I thought we could jump on to Leary here and talk about what we thought about those interactions.
Yeah,
besides him being awesome, and we've all been the bridesmaid and not the bride, so I love when he just hands her the goblet, and you're like, oh, been there, you know. It's so good. He's like, here you go, and just walks off. I was like, oh, that hurt.
It felt like
seem a little confusing. Go ahead, Beth, sorry.
It felt like a little junior high dance, and she's the one who just like gets stuck in the folding chair, sitting there with no one to talk to. It's very sad.
Well, and it was sad because you see that in that interaction, but then you see them make out. So I think that's a little confusing because he did not seem to give her the time of day, and then they're making out. Yeah, so I mean, obviously we know what happens and we understand later, but I think she was. It's hard to hate her right now. You don't hate her, and I don't think anybody hates her in the book for a while. So we have to remember that nobody hates her except for the insiders.
Yeah. Well, even the whole insult to injury, like the whole like handing her the glass, like, hey, you lass, go take that back to the kitchen and everything. But before that, he talks about her being, oh, I wasn't likely to notice a snot-nosed bairn or something like that. That just, like, nobody wants to be called the kid.
Right.
You know? I mean, she's clearly grown up. She's clearly a woman now, but nobody wants to be called a kid, and then to bring that element in it, especially like when you're a girl and going through that whole gawky, awkward middle school stage, it's like, oh, you remember that? Like, that's just an ugly place to be for a girl, especially.
It kind of reminds me of when you have like that crush on your brother's friend, and he always just sees you as like the little kid that's just tagging along, and she's finally like, she has boobs now, and she's coming to her own, and she's like, you know, notice me, and he's just like, nope, no time of day. She's still the little kid. But again, to what Becca said, then he kind of makes out with her, which is a little misleading, kind of like what's going on in his head.
Well, I mean, he's gotten all these. He's had like how many kilt boners do we think happened that episode? Like at least 3 or 4.
At least 3.
Yeah, because let's talk about the sexual chemistry because we need to get to. Oh, somebody's landline is ringing.
Sorry, I'll kill that. That's mine. Sorry.
I'm like, who has a landline? But the sexual tension between the 2 of them in this episode is like, hello, hot.
Between Claire and Jamie, obviously not Leary and Jamie.
Obviously. I loved it. I thought, like, the under the table foot scene, I can't wait for more. Give me more.
I want to say this was probably my favorite scene in it, and this is where my one-sentence summary of the show came in. So they're there at this awkward flute concert, having this like back and forth with Hogan in the middle and clearly gravitating to the one side, and then he pulls the old, hey, come down to the basement with me so I can show you my scars routine. And then they go downstairs, and it's one of the most baller scenes I've ever, of all time. Like the, come check out my scars. I've never used that before, but he knew what he was doing.
Well, and that scene actually was a little interesting because, David, in reality, you said, why did they just go down to the basement? And I said, well, he just said she's too drunk. And I was like, I mean, I get, it was a little confusing because she wasn't drunk, right? Did I miss something?
I think she was.
Oh, I think she was.
She was, but
I'm drunker right now at 4:31 in the afternoon on a Sunday than she was.
I think maybe, I mean, she said she had like, what, 3 or 4 glasses of it, so I think it's one of those things like you stand up and then you're like, oh, I'm actually really drunk, and I think he
was looking for a way to get her down to the basement, and then he just didn't know what to do once he got there.
No.
I'm sorry, Beth. He has no game. He didn't know what to do.
No,
He caught
he
her
has
in the
all
basement,
game.
just lost it. Sorry.
Here's the thing. He knew that she was intoxicated, and if she had gone down to her surgery later on her own, she would have been accosted by some other drunk man. He is protecting her, getting her back to where she needs to go because she was drunk. He's
That's
being
not where she's staying, though. That was her surgery. He was taking her to her room. Liar.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's where she hangs out. That's where she stays, right?
I was
No.
wondering that actually. Like, is there like a bed chamber off the surgery, or like, yeah, no, I think you're totally right, Nikki. That was like,
Two different places.
yeah.
Oh, okay. Can we go back to the surgery and can we talk about why is there dirt always on his face? Like, you're going to the boring flute concert, you're gonna wipe your face off, or at least like change your kilt out, and he always has schmutz on his face. It's so annoying. I don't know. Whatever. Why?
Who had surgery? When did that happen? When
It's
did
just
somebody
all
get...
surgery. It's just like a doctor's office or whatever. It's the nurse's office at school.
It's the room, David, that Frank went down on her in the first episode. We talked about this.
Yeah,
You
what
missed the second
did that have to do with this episode, though? Did that happen at some point here?
No, the surgery is where Jamie takes her. That's what it's called. It's called a surgery. It's like the doctor's office where she works out of.
Oh, so it wasn't like the act of surgery. The surgery is an actual... Okay.
Now,
Guys, come on.
Yeah. It's not an
So-
idea.
Circling back to Nikki, just to be clear, you're saying there's some sort of downside to grimy, sweaty Jamie? I just want to make sure I understand the level of the quibble.
It's not even so much that it's like gross, it's that it looked like there was food. Like he had like, oh, I just got some like ketchup from, a sausage or whatever he was eating on his face. It wasn't even dirt. It was like, like chocolate or something. Like at least make it look real.
That's just Sam's moles.
It probably was, to be honest. It probably was. I'm sorry.
And they're probably trying to get that contrast going between how different he is from her actual husband. 'Cause her husband is about as dialed in as a guy is going to get, and then Hogan's this like wild man who just has no time in his world to wash garbage off his face, and it just creates a contrast.
I think
He's
he's,
wearing
well,
a scarf. Like, just put a dirty napkin around your neck and go to the awful flute concert, which was, I was like, oh my god, this is the worst episode ever. It's about flute concerts.
There were two flute concerts.
They weren't flutes. Where was our flute? It was a harpsichord. I mean,
He played a
It
harp.
was a miniature harp, and then he brought out the flute.
oh,
He had a recorder.
I fell asleep during that part, I guess.
Yeah.
Jamie's
wait.
trying to say something. Not Fraser. Jamie Sokoloff's trying to say something.
Hi. Okay, so one, it's probably manure on his face because he works in the stables, which is nasty. But they don't have mirrors, and I think there's just not the same level of cleanliness. But I think it's also showing kind of his youth and his rough and tumble. I'm just like out working with the horses, and I don't have time to clean my face to Nikki's liking.
Well, Jamie, whatever. And Jamie. we had we had a tweet from Dream and Live who said Jamie looks 10 times hotter with dirt and blood on his face. Sure.
That's what Elise thinks. That's what Elise says too. Takes away some of the Ken doll when he's.
That's true. He needs dirt, but not chocolate.
And of course, like, later on when he's cleaner, later on when they go to the pillory and then they go to the Black Kirk, which I have a really hard time saying because my ex-boyfriend's name is Kirk, and every time somebody says the Black Kirk, it just all kinds of images. Anyway, so when they go there, he looks all clean, but he looks worse because he has the Hobbit hair and it's parted in the middle, and it's supposed to be this really cute, like, look at me, Claire, I'm so brave, and I'm going to tell you a story about my boyhood, let's flirt. And all I can think about is push your hair off your forehead. Do something with that
Yeah,
curl.
the Hobbit hair was pretty rough this episode,
Yeah.
I gotta say.
It was the worst in this one.
We're
You
at
know
a bad.
You know what, though? If we're going to talk worst hair, like, what the heck happened to Galus and the red dye job or whatever they did? There was a moment there, and it was like, because I think she's a natural redhead, but there was a moment there, it was very scarlet on the sides and like grayish on the center.
Yeah.
What happened? I was like totally distracted on the gay
That
list
threw me
for a
off.
moment.
It made her hairline look like they like shaved it way back. Like it
Yes!
was weird.
What was about that? I was just like oddly caught up in what did you do to her, and I was losing dialogue there for a minute. I don't know.
I think she actually has a pretty like way back hairline, but also it was teased. And so I think you could see through it, and so it was just kind of like lightened, and it's all teased up. Yeah, it didn't look great. But I love how she looks in that scene because she looks like this moth-ridden, like wood nymph or something. She looks like she's of the earth.
Right. Well, you could tell it was like 2 different takes or whatever, and then they had fixed the dye job, but it was just like bad dye job, new dye job, bad dye job, new dye job, depending upon what camera angle it was.
Well,
this was mentioned. Wait, did I just mute something? Can you hear me? Check.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay.
You're good.
Somebody mentioned this, but I wanted to come back to it. Lena, is that her name?
Lena,
the blonde chick, Lena.
The young girl.
Yeah.
Lyra.
Okay, that was totally random to me. Where it was during the flute concert, he was totally brushing her off, but it wasn't one of those like, I really want to talk to you, but I'm brushing you off to play a game. He just didn't seem to have an interest. And then there was just this random later on makeout session that Claire walked in on, and they didn't make a thing about it at all. It was just there, and it was in passing. They didn't qualify it by anything. They didn't even build any tension. It was just like, oh, here's this thing that happened. We'll just show it real quick. Is that, did I miss something from the last episode, or did they just totally miss an opportunity?
Well, what you missed in the last episode was that Jamie takes a huge punishment for Leary. She's getting in trouble for being a slut, and they're going to beat her, and instead of letting her get beaten, he takes her punishment. And so she kind of starts to form this thing for him, and that's what that's about. But as far as him like kind of brushing her off, he is brushing her off because he likes Claire. But I think that you're not privy to why they're making out or why he allows her to pull him into that alcove to kiss, because Claire isn't privy to why they're making out. And I think it's just to set up the idea that Claire is jealous, and she says that, and I totally disagree with what she says when she says, I'm jealous, but I'm not jealous of Leary. I just miss my husband. She might miss Frank, but she's admitted in the very first episode they spent 10 days together over 5 years. She's used to not being with her husband. She does not miss Frank in that moment. She's jealous of Leary, 100%.
As we all are.
There's a nice tweet I'd like to share. It's from Mercy Brown at MYG. She said, we need a kilt boner counter for the sidebar of That's Normal, which I may agree with.
Wow.
There were moments of
I
that.
definitely wanted the kerchief tying, like when she's untying his kerchief.
Oh my gosh, I had a kilt boner.
And I was like, is it hot in here?
Hello.
Lily of the Valley, that's kilt boner number 3. The second kilt boner is at the pillory when he picks her up. And then he says, you wouldn't expect me to be as brave as a wee Sassenach lassie, would you? That's number 2, and then the third was Lily of the Valley. So there's at least 3, if not a 4th at the very last concert, because everybody knows that music does it for Jamie.
Yeah, the flute.
Especially flute music. And he's also a 23-year-old virgin. His whole life is filled with involuntary kilt boners. That's all his life is. It just happens all day over just about anything. So the number's probably higher than what you anticipated.
That's true.
Just throwing that out.
That's a good thing. It can, if the higher it goes, the better I feel about it.
Yeah,
The higher
New life motto.
Yeah.
And Myrta's like life advice to Claire. Let's just talk about how that was my favorite line in the whole thing. Saying that Leary will be a girl at 50.
Yeah.
I love it. It was my favorite. I love that it went to Myrta because in the book it's old Alec, and we haven't really spent the time with him. I love that it was Myrta. I love that Myrta's basically acting like a Scottish Yenta at that point. He's matchmaking. Like, he wants Claire to know, I want this is who he needs to be with.
That was some really great foreshadowing that the book could have used, because again, in the book, I was still bored at this point. I was not interested at this point. If that stuff had happened, I would have been a little more, I would have gotten it, because again, I didn't get it until a little bit later. We won't spoil it for the unknowns in the group, but that was... Go ahead, Laura.
No, I just really liked it because I also feel like he's really charming too. Like the other kind of guys that are following around, as you were saying, are kind of like the joke machine, the comic relief. Like he just had like a real charm to him. Like you wanted to listen to him. I feel like the only thing that's getting lost a little bit is the fact that we don't. I mean, I know who he is because I went back and double referenced it, but I don't know that people realize that that's Murtaugh, and I guess at some point there'll be a bigger reveal as to specifically who he is to Jamie.
Yeah.
But I really did enjoy that scene, and I kind of liked that Claire felt a little bit embarrassed afterwards, having sort of like, been goading Jamie, and I'm not so sure that anybody else there in the castle could have made her feel embarrassed. I think they could have made her feel like what she said was foolish, but I don't know that anybody else could have made her feel embarrassed for cheesing Jamie other than Murtaugh.
Laura, I totally agree. And I had a moment while watching this kind of like, wait, which bearded guy is that? Like, I'm having that Game of Thrones confusing all the old men kind of moments. I know Colin and Dougal, but kind of at this point, everyone else is a little bit interchangeable. So when that moment happened, I was like, wait, is that Murtaugh? Is that Alex? Like, I didn't even realize, like, Alex didn't happen in this. So I was a little confused. I'm like, who's giving him advice or her advice? It was a little bit confusing. So I think maybe there needs to be more scenes with him so we can understand kind of how he's important. But also, I wanted to say, going back to kind of like the Clarence and Jamie, I was going to say Claire and Jamie hijinks, I feel like we could use more of them. Like, I liked how they kind of set up in the town and helped the little boy out, and she pretended to faint. Like, I feel like I could use like a little of that, like every episode, like, like little Jamie Sam adventures, or Jamie Claire, I can't.
Jamie and Sam. Just Jamie and Sam.
Me and Sam on adventures. That's what I want.
Oh, and positive thing from me.
Oh.
So, yeah, so I've been obviously hearing about this guy for so long.
No, you
much
haven't.
about
Just
him.
a year.
And yeah, it's been a lot over the last year, a lot of Hogan for the last year. But I was writing the whole thing off because what I was imagining was, I imagined her husband in real time to be about kind of how he's portrayed. But then I was imagining Hogan to be this like Scottish caveman who was just a bumbling, dirty fool who just was strong and killed things. And that's kind of what I was imagining. But I see, and he even acknowledges this, that he is kind of educated, and it's a little more believable than what I imagined. Because I imagine this entire, like, 9 books or whatever the hell it is right now, based on her appeal for just, I mean, a raw appeal for just some strong caveman. And I've gotten on board a little bit more when I realized that he has a little bit more to him than caveman appeal. So there's my positive note for this episode.
Yay. So you're
We've
okay.
got a lot of positive appeal.
Do you want a Pocket Jamie? Would you like one? I have one for you.
I've been siphoning Pocket Jamies. I have a whole side business.
You can. That's a good thing because you can now buy a Pocket Jamie for $9 on the Star website. Let me tell you, I was like, really? A Pocket Jamie better damn well leap in my pocket for $9.
Oh, we never talked about this, so we're just going to real quick side note, because they're selling wine goblets for a threesome. They're not selling them in a pack of 4. You have to buy one for you and your 2 other lovers. I love that.
Seriously, did they get them on clearance? What is up with that?
And they're like $44.
It's
No,
a triangle of wine goblets.
And I think that my comment to that was, it's not as if every lifestyle is like Twilight fan fiction. No one really lives in polyamorous triads. You need 4 glasses.
Unfortunately.
Are you sure?
Well,
Okay, we have a great tweet that I think we should discuss. It's from Frey Leah, and she says, "Do y'all think we'll see Claire and Dougal kiss?" Which leads us to a great subject of what do we think's coming next? Do we think we'll see Dougal and Claire kiss, and what else?
What's the next episode called? Is it The Gathering?
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So that's when that happens in the book, yes?
Yeah, I think we might. I think
I think that's important. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they're going to show that for sure.
Yeah, because we have to figure out he's kind of a lecherous type guy more than we already know, and what that's going to lead into.
Yeah, so that's coming. The Gathering, lots of "to la garde," as one of my favorite comments of this week was how somebody's husband thought that meant "to the car." So every time they're going out to the house, they leave the house, he's like, "to the car."
Well, I mean, I think a lot of it is just that Claire is, I mean, Murtaugh says it the best, you know, Jamie needs a woman, and you clearly are a woman, not a girl. But I think not only Jamie finds that appealing, but I think someone like Colum finds that appealing. I think someone like Dougal finds that appealing. They like that sort of person who challenges them. I mean, it's the fun is in the challenge, I think, for a lot of the guys. And whether that's a physical challenge or an intellectual challenge or the challenge of what you can't have, I think that's appealing on a lot of different levels. So I would say, yeah, we're gonna see more than one guy be interested in Claire.
Lucky bitch.
Obviously, a lot of guys get interested in Claire. I don't think Claire encounters a single dude who doesn't try to.
Doesn't get a kilt boner.
Yeah.
Do you know who's not interested in Claire? This guy. I'm trying so hard to be into her. Nothing.
Really?
Well, besides the fact that she's not like the typical body type you go for, what else?
She's not my thing. She's very pretty. I'm not going to take that from her.
But what else? It's not just that. You're not just looking at the body type. What else? You don't like her personality? You think she's too... You don't like that she says Jesus H. Roosevelt Christ?
Yeah, that she lost me. She lost me there.
Yeah, that's...
No, I like her personality. I think my statement was far more shallow than you're giving me credit for. I just am not physically drawn to her. Everything else, I think she's a great, strong female character, and I think she's a good actress. I'm just not physically drawn to her.
I
think that's an important thing that we acknowledge here.
It is important. I'm glad we got that out of the way.
Well, because you said that I've never come across anybody that isn't drawn to Claire, and I really felt that it was important that I come in on that.
Good. I'm glad. I'm enjoying watching her face. Like most of the time I kind of don't care, but because we're seeing so much of it, like I still am just enjoying her face, which is kind of creepy. Sorry, Katrina. I know you're watching this, Katrina.
Obviously.
But I think it's good because I think she's letting her guard down a little bit, and I think that's why it is more enjoyable. And I think that's also why we had some problems the first 2 episodes. Is that Claire is so reserved and so held back and so kind of like, oh my God, what's going to happen to me, that you don't see that natural kind of reaction outside of the 1940s. So I think we're seeing a little more of that, and I think we're seeing more of her playful side, her fun side. I mean, between her teasing Jamie and the like intentional bad actress at the scaffold, I mean, that was hilarious.
What's funny is some people thought that was a real moment, and they were like, "Oh, that looks fake." Like when they saw just the previews or whatever, I was like, "She is faking it. She's faking it hard right there. She's faking it super hard."
Yeah, she's gonna stop faking it real soon. Am I right, ladies?
Oh.
Poor David.
Yeah. Oh, and that actually reminds me of something else. So I would assume at this point in the book, she still is very much wanting nothing else but to get back home.
Right.
I would assume that that's where she is.
Yeah.
They are not doing a good enough job at making us feel that tension, because I would assume then at another point she's going to have that change and that turn and start being more drawn to her life there, and it's going to be totally anticlimactic because we never felt that differential there. I mean, between her wanting to be drawn home. Sure, they've had a couple scenes where she's like, oh, I miss my husband, but they kind of came and went, and I haven't bought one of them yet.
Do you think if they had that flashback, like not at the beginning of the episode, but maybe kind of like midway, would that have felt more realistic to kind of her feelings, where she leaves?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think it was the placement of anything, and I don't think it's how they've done it. I just don't think that they've written that kind of like passion for her old life into it well enough. And so when it comes around to her like being into Hogan, it's gonna feel like nothing, because we never really felt that she was drawn against him.
Well, I honestly don't think that the book even made it seem like she was that
Really?
worried about going back. To be honest, she was like, well, here I am. I mean, literally show one like chamber pot scene and I'd be like, peace, y'all. Like, I mean, let's get real about why you would want to leave. But I think later in the book, I'm sure you all readers know exactly which scene I'm talking about. It does seem like, you know, she's ready to go back, and then, you know, things happen. But I'm excited to see that scene play out in the second part of the season.
I mean, well, there's actually coming next week. She's actually going to try her damnedest to get back to the Stones next week. And that's kind of what the end of this week was about, her realizing, you know what, fuck it. I don't even need their help. I'm just going to go.
Right.
And so that's what's happening next week, is she's going to make some strides to, like, get her ass back to that Stone Circle because she wants to go. So.
I have a really important question I can't believe I almost forgot to ask.
Okay.
Have we seen Donus yet?
No.
Oh, where is Donus?
We'll see him
on Twitter.
Oh,
yes.
It's
best Twitter account ever. Yeah, that and Dougall's Twitter.
Fandom Donus over there.
David's like, Donus? What the hell are y'all
You'll
talking
find
about?
it.
I'm not. I'm just.
I thought that was the horse that they were grooming with the hay.
Because it might have been. Donus is black. So.
Yeah, I think that may have been Donus. I got a little excited. I got a little kilt boner for Donus, I'm going to be honest.
I did not. I don't care.
Well, that's the thing. He's probably like going to be mentioned like in like passing. Oh, here's my horse Donut, and that's it. And that whole.
There's no time to talk about your friendly horse in a TV show. In a book that Diana writes, where every detail is important, sure, you can talk about your BFF, the horse.
Horse and Hound will be really sad that he doesn't have a.
Bringing it back to Notting Hill. I mentioned Notting Hill earlier.
Hill, we brought it back.
And Becca, if you could please stop talking about your kilt boners, I would appreciate it. It's gonna really throw me off for a while. Like, it's gonna take me a while to recover.
Just wait till I whisper it in your ear next time.
And no
I'm
further
recommending
references.
you don't.
And no further references to bestiality, please. Thank you.
Yeah.
Right,
We just kind of lost it though.
Real quick, guys, we got to wrap it up. My laptop is gonna die. What is your gifable moment from this week? I will go first because I want this one and I'm afraid someone else is going to steal it. My gift moment is Angus with his knife, just giving it a handy, just right there, just going to town with his dirk, giving a hand job in the middle of the surgery. That's my gift moment. I want it for everything.
Well, my gift moment is always going to be cliche because that's just how I do it. When she is undoing his little thing, and it's just... That's my moment.
Mine's going to be Jamie handing off that wine glass to Mary, like, whatever, bitch, see you later. I'm using that all the time. Peace.
Yeah, mine's definitely the opening scene where she's disrobing and doing the ice bucket challenge there.
Talk about
that initial scene. So that's that won the show for me right there. So I was in after that.
I know Les was happy for that.
Yeah. Then she donated a grand after that. So that was really nice.
I think mine's going to be the Mrs. Fitz doing the oh hell no, just going right up against it like, oh really? There's the door. So
Yeah.
I think that's mine.
That was a good scene.
Mine is going to be Claire fake feigning. I think I could use that in text messages a lot. So.
All right, you guys, next week we're going to see some good stuff. We've got the gathering, we've got more people coming into the castle, Claire trying to run off, Dougal's going to try to rape her. It's going to be a crazy time.
Crazy.
Are you going to watch, David?
Totally. Would not miss it. Would not.
Thank you guys for joining us for this live. We've had a bunch of viewers, which has been fun, and we'll try to figure out this Q&A for next time because we've gotten your tweets, but we want more questions and stuff from you guys too. So thank you for joining us.
Absolutely.
Bye. Good night.